back at it again this morning, and guys are down here getting some wind bracing put on, and I am starting on our roof vent system. Got one of the bars on so far. It'd have really been sweet if they'd put these holes in from the factory, because it's not much fun drilling through this heavy wall pipe up here in midair, but we'll get it done. I made a little jig to help me put the holes in. It's just a little piece of angle, and screwed a piece of wood to it, put a bolt through the other end, and that gets me spaced just right off the ridge, like so. That shows me where to put the hole. Put this little tomato stick on there, which is bowed all to heck. That keeps it from being cocked one way or the other. And we got to go down through here and drill a hole in all 25 arches and bolt one of these pieces of galvanized square tubing on, which is going to take a bit. But once we get that done, we'll be ready to roll on with it, because all the rest of the stuff is just kind of bolted together with bolts and Tech screws and pre-drilled. This will be some of the worst of putting this assembly together. Well, it's starting to come together. And they're not, they don't line up quite as perfectly straight as far as the way they're laying across the ridge pole as I would like. But not every one of these arches is formed exactly the same, I've noticed by looking down it. But I guess it's a greenhouse, it's not a space shuttle. And maybe my quality standards are a little bit higher than what I should have expected out of building a greenhouse. But I mean, everything lines up pretty dang nice. I'm just really anal retentive. For those of you that watch my videos every week, I really appreciate that. If you're watching my videos for entertainment, bless your heart, because I know you go leave disappointed every week. But if you're watching my videos because you're farming, you're trying to learn something, if you never learn anything else by watching my channel, I hope you remember this, that you've got to be efficiency minded if you're going to try to make a living farming. And that goes for everything that you do. From just, this is a good example because metal fab is kind of my wheelhouse, and this is where I learned a lot of this type of stuff, is in doing metal fab work. But anytime you're doing something more than a couple of them, you're far better off if you can come up with some kind of fixture or some kind of jig, just like you've seen us doing with the pieces of wood like they're using here to put these purlins on to space them, to this little fixture that I've made here for drilling these holes in the same place, to just doing things like thinking about things from an assembly line point of view. Like I'll go through and I'm going to drill all 4 of these holes, and then I'm going to get all my washers and bolts out, and I'm going to put all the bolts in, then I'm going to put all the bars in, then I'm going to put all the nuts in. It's far more efficient and better use of your time. You can get more done in a shorter amount of time if you try to do things that way. And you can apply this to no matter what you're doing. If you're like, for instance, if we are hand planting something in black plastic, which we don't frequently do, but sometimes we do because it's just faster, than getting out the water wheel. Sometimes we'll go through and we'll poke all the holes, and then we'll go through and we'll lay all the plants out, and then we'll go through and plant the plants. It just, if you can streamline the operation where you're not constantly switching back and forth between doing something, it makes it more efficient and faster to get it done. And in today's ag economy, well, probably the ag economy, as long as there's been one, this has been the case. Like, things are just so cheap that you have to do things as efficiently as possible, or you're not going to make any money. When you're drilling a big hole, if you pre-drill it with a small drill bit, it'll be much easier on you and much easier on your drill bits. So I'm using that 3/8 bit to mark the holes with the template that I made, and then I'm going back and I'm pre-drilling them with a 1/4 inch hole, and then I'm going to go back and re-drill them to size. Square vent arm. Guess I've got all of those on, and up until this point it's kind of been like, if you've ever seen a greenhouse before, you can kind of feel your way through building this thing, just kind of figuring it out with modest instructions. Now we're to the point where this is what I've got to go off of. This and some pictures. Some of the pictures are good. Some are completely useless. And here is another drawing that is maybe a little bit more clear. And I have pictures. Oh, there's some bracing that I didn't even realize was supposed to be in there. So I think it's going to be kind of like tearing an engine apart and taking it to the machine shop, and then you get busy, and 6 months later you decide to put it all back together, and you have to kind of figure out where all the wiring harness connectors go and all the bolts go, and you get down to the end and you find the missing bolts and you scratch your head and try to figure out where they go. I think this is about the way this project's going to go. Here's the best picture I have. Now, if I were all this clear, it would be super helpful, but they are not all this clear. Oh well, jump in head first, I guess. 4 hours have consisted of trying to figure out what the heck we were doing. I wasn't gonna talk to the camera about what I was doing when I didn't know what I was doing, because these instructions are so explicit. We kind of had to feel our way through this, but you can kind of see what we've got going on now. This is a rack and pinion system, and you can see the heavy purlin pipe that runs through these units right here, and it will rotate and it'll make the roof vent system ride up these rack pieces. So essentially the pinion turns by that motor sitting right down there. 24-volt motor, operates off thermostat, and these pinions ride up these racks and raise the vent. As you can see how they're working on it right here. You can see it's kind of raised up. So here we had to kind of first figure out what the heck we were doing, second figure out the best way to go about doing it. So you can kind of see it starting to come together now. Hopefully it's starting to make a little bit more sense. This top piece that we've got right here, so essentially we've got a double wire lock that runs along the top, And then we have this piece of extruded right here that these 1.5-inch pipes or tubes slide up into, and it has a wire lock on the front for the plastic to attach to the roof vent system. So you can kind of see what I was talking about with this rack and pinion roof vent system. It's going to be a pretty big vent, so it should be able to evacuate heat in a hurry. You can kind of see what's going on where we've got it propped up with the board right here. We're in the process of putting the weather stripping on as we go. So everything on this end is complete aside from putting the plastic on. And we've still got to run our double wire lock down the side. You can see we started over here. It will have roll curtains on both sides so that it'll have a chimney effect. It will suck cold air in from the bottom, let it out the vent up top, and it should be able to really regulate the temperature in here very well. I think it's going to be a really good system once we get it all up and going. End of day 3, pretty tickled with the progress so far. So I appreciate you guys watching. Tune in next time, and I don't know, probably been building end walls, getting the baseboards on, and then it'll be time for plastic. So appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you next time.